Hi, welcome back to NSE Closing Bell. For now, we're going to take a bit of a breather from the equity markets and talk about a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Sources tell us that Indiabulls Housing and Lakshmi Vilas Bank are considering a merger very soon. And the two people who are picking up this information, Nimesh and Abhishek, our colleagues, are both joining us now. So, Nimesh, let me start first with you. You understand that there's a board meeting currently underway between the two parties?
Yes, Sonia. So, both Indiabulls Housing and Lakshmi Vilas Bank board are currently meeting, and they're convening to consider if they can go for a proposed merger between both Indiabulls Housing and Lakshmi Vilas Bank. So, this has been speculated for almost 2 weeks now. Some of the papers have written as well. But now we do understand that, yes, both the boards are meeting today, and they will probably once the board meeting is over, they will submit the proposal to the RBI. So this will require an RBI permission as well. So there will be some processes where some RBI permissions will be required. So that will go through. As things stand, what I understand from sources, it will be a pure merger. So no acquiring of each other. A merger between both Lakshmi Vilas Bank and Indiabulls Housing, and the merger ratio is seen around 1:8. So basically, for one share of Indiabulls for 8 shares of LVB. That's a broad ratio, is what has been discussed right now. It may change a little bit given what the current, and again the whole merger ratio and the pricing will depend upon the 6-month weighted average for both Indiabulls Housing and for Lakshmi Vilas Bank. So just don't go by today's price or yesterday's price. It will be a 6-month average price, which will be considered when the merger ratio is announced. What this means, let Abhishek explain what this means or what it brings in table for Indiabulls Housing and for Lakshmi Vilas Bank. But clearly, this is going to be the fourth so-called kind of a merger or a marriage within the financial space. So very important development. It will be hugely positive for Indiabulls Housing as well as for Lakshmi Vilas Bank. But let Abhishek explain as to what it brings for both Indiabulls Housing and Lakshmi Vilas Bank.
This expectation, I think, or the buzz that's been doing the rounds, it's put Lakshmi Vilas Bank on fire. The stock has just been moving from circuit to circuit, including today. 5% is the circuit, and it's gained 31% in this week alone. So, Abhishek, now on the synergies, I mean, what does this bring to the table for both the participants if there is this marriage?
The first thing to note is the promoter holding. So, Indiabulls Housing, the promoter holding is at 21.5%. If I go as per the ratio, 1:8 that Nimesh has spoken about, the promoter holding can come down to about 19.7% or 19.68 to be more precise. So, post-merger, the promoter holding in the merged entity needs to be below 15%. That is as per, the norms that is there. So, what are the benefits for Indiabulls Housing Finance? Obviously, they get a banking license. That's a big trigger for any NBFC getting a banking license. It helps them to expand their abilities to resource, money at a much cheaper rate, because, if you see banks, they can raise current account at 0%, saving deposits at 4%, and other deposits which are way cheaper than what cost of funds will be for, as an HFC or a housing finance company. What it benefits to Lakshmi Vilas Bank is, if you look at their current situation, for last 1 or 2 years, they had been crying out for capital. They recently raised capital, but it was with a lag effect. So this move will actually help in strengthening their capital adequacy ratio, because Indiabulls Housing is already a well-capitalized entity. It will also support the eroding capital that is being seen across Lakshmi Vilas Bank on account of the fact that their NPAs have been rising and they have been reporting losses. And that is why, the deterioration in financial health will also get, arrested.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, guys, for that. Yes, Nimesh, you want to make a point?
So, he explained as to what it brings to the table for Indiabulls Housing and LVB. Let me just add a couple of more points. One, for Indiabulls as a group, I don't think we've shown any of the Indiabulls group stocks. I think the entire group will get degraded if indeed this happens and they get a banking license, because that's going to be a and again, the whole premises of Indiabulls looking at this deal is essentially to look for a capital or the liability franchise. If that comes in, probably you'll see a bit of a re-rating for the entire group stocks of Indiabulls Group. Not only that, the other thing to watch out would be, a lot of these small private banks will be in focus if this deal has to go through. As should be rightly pointed out, we've already seen a big rally in Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Now, I think the market will look at and start focusing on the other small private banks where there could be potential deals of similar kinds, where a private large entity looks at merging or buying into these smaller ones. So, while this is all to do with LBV and Indiabulls Housing, but from a market's point of view, I think one is to focus on small private banks and the entire Indiabulls Group stocks. These are the two things to watch out for.
Okay.
Also, and this has been a trend, Sonia, for the last year now, in the financial space. We actually spoke as well, right, before the break. The first was Bharat Financial and IndusInd Bank getting merged. And you saw the kind of re-rating both Bharat Financial saw as well as IndusInd Bank saw. Then there was the Bandhan Bank and Gru merger, which recently got announced.
Capital First,
IDFC. So, this will probably give an indication to the market that the trend now seems to be that some of the small private banks will get eventually merged with the larger banks.
So, I just wanted Dipan to come in on this as well. Dipan, it's very interesting. A lot of NBFCs are, now snooping around for banks that they can merge with. Perhaps because it's, a difficult market, high cost of borrowing, a whole host of other issues, flexibility and reach that a bank offers. What have you made of all of these marriages, and what about this impending one? Any of these stocks that interest you as a long-term investor?
I think we've been very positive on IDFC First Bank, and that was another merger of a high-profile, very aggressive NBFC being merged into a bank which had various gaps as far as their products were concerned and was kind of in the slow lane. So now hopefully with the merger of those two companies, we should see faster growth rates coming through. And it's happened in the case of Bandhan and Group Finance as well. And at present, IndusInd Bank is trying to consume Bharat Financial. So I think this trend of NBFCs merging with banks, reverse or direct, is extremely positive for both shareholders. I think, be it the bank shareholders or the NBFC shareholders. Because one thing this crisis post ILFS has revealed is that there are some chinks as far as the NBFCs are concerned. And if they can have a platform to raise liabilities at a very reasonable rate, then that's the only kind of missing link in the business model, and they can grow in a far better and a safer manner. But coming specifically to Indiabulls and Lakshmi Vilas Bank, one needs to see the stand of the regulator, because it's other mergers which have taken place between NBFC and banks were pure NBFCs with a bank. But in this case, you have an NBFC which is a part of a larger group. For example, Indiabulls has got many other listed companies. It's got a stockbroking company, a property company, and various other businesses which are listed and unlisted. And RBI doesn't usually give out licenses or transfer licenses when the entire group is involved. And that is what restricts companies like Bajaj Finance, L&T Finance, Piramal Enterprises from converting themselves to a bank, because there are strict regulations where a business house is applying for a banking license, and I think that could be an impediment within the merger. So I would just be a bit cautious and not just buy based on the fact that because the merger is announced, it will get a clean chit and a complete approval from the RBI. That needs to be seen. This is going to be really a test case for the RBI, because if they do approve such a merger, then it will open the floodgates for some of the other NBFCs promoted by large business houses, for them also to get to acquire banks or get a banking license. So it will change the dynamics of the entire industry. So let's just wait and watch how this particular situation evolves.
I completely take that point, Dipan, and I think one mustn't sort of overlook that fact at all, because I'm sure the RBI will have its own criteria, the fit and proper guidelines, and some of the other metrics on which it's going to evaluate ultimately who becomes the promoter of that bank. Anyway, for what it's worth, take a look at Karnataka, Federal, South Indian, RBL Bank. Take a look at all of these banks. They are all rushing to the highs of the day. So the anticipation of perhaps deals brewing is keeping the street excited. Some big moves coming in on those stocks. By the way, some not so great news coming in on Jet Airways. Now no fuel. I mean, this 1,500 crores that was supposed to come in, clearly that's getting delayed, and more planes are being grounded. And now we see that IOC is not going to be providing any more fuel. So tough times continue for Jet Airways.
Oh, absolutely. Tough times, but somehow the stock just refuses to fall below that 250 mark. It's been around that level for so long. Despite the kitchen sink being thrown at Jet Airways, it's just perhaps some deal coming through sometime soon. You never know. But let's get some calls in as well. We have about 20 minutes to go before the day and the week comes to an end. Ashwini Gujral and Mitesh Thakkar are with us. Mitesh, let me start with you. In the last 20 minutes of trade, what would you do?
Yeah, so I think we spoke about Tata Steel. That's one of the calls. I would buy with a stop below 540 here, look for targets of 565. Not exactly a BTST, but a 1-2 day kind of a call. And also buy on Sun TV, which after a long time has come in on the buying radar. That's a buy with a stop below 626, and I would look at targets close to about 667 here.
Okay. Ashwini, let's get to your calls. And I was noticing ICICI Bank, which was a buy earlier at 230, and that's actually turned around, slight positive on that one. What else would you go with now?
Like I was saying that, both Nifty, Bank Nifty are in extreme narrow ranges. Given this sort of news flow, I would carry Nifty, Bank Nifty positions home and possibly look for a gap up to happen there. ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank turned around. Similarly, ICICI Bank also has turned around. If the 5 private banks they turn around, then there's very little hope of the Bank Nifty and hence the Nifty not turning. So having said that, NIT Tech is a buy with the stop of 1345, target of 1390. DHFL is a buy with a stop of 160, target of 169. And TCS is a buy with a stop of 2040, target of 2080.
Okay, by the way, there's a big move coming in the mid-cap space. I mean, it's almost up about 150 odd points. And if you look at the mid-cap index, I think the graph should come up for you. It's in the last 10-15 minutes moved to the high point. So it's volatile today, no two ways about that, but ending at the high point of trade perhaps. So we have 15 more minutes to go.